please know our meetings are informal. You can speak up at any time. Some of us, especially me, might not be all that good at seeing the Zoom raise your hand feature. So if you raise your hand and I don't say anything or I'm talking over you, just yell and tell me to stop. We definitely want to hear from anybody who wants to speak up. And first thing I'd like to say is all these names I see that are unfamiliar to me, that's awesome. Welcome everybody to BRP. If I should know you and don't, I apologize, but I'm just happy to see so many people here and especially so many new names. There's a lot going on and we need all the help. And it's just great to see the participation we're getting. And Dale, as you said, others can speak up. So I'll start with this, but if anybody wants to speak at any time and add to what I'm saying or correct it or anything like that, that's perfectly fine. Our agenda for today, going to talk about an upcoming event that everybody will be invited to. Going to introduce the coordinating committee, especially to all the new people. Some training that's coming up, the new families that have not arrived yet. Summer plans, education for the kids, some volunteer needs we have, the possibilities for driving lessons for our families, and then legal support for our families. So if there's no questions so far, I'll go ahead and get started on these. First one, very exciting. I'll get help on this from you, Dina, if that's okay, but next Friday is the Muslim holiday Iftar, and that will be the end of fasting. And so there'll be a celebration at sunset next Friday, or the time we're planning is 7:30 p.m. This will be held at the YMCA. They have a large room that can hold over 150 people. The families we work with will make some culturally appropriate dishes, things that are halal and that they can eat and are appropriate to their celebration. BRP will provide even more to round it out. But we want everybody there. Those of you who've been around for a while know it's been a long haul recently. We've got an awful lot done, and we'll talk about that. It would be good for us all to get together. We haven't been able to do that throughout the whole COVID era, but let's do it. Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate our new families, celebrate our old families, celebrate all the work we've done together and all the things we're going to do in the future. I really encourage and invite everybody to attend this. If this is your first meeting or your first experience with BRP, right, we still want you there. If you've been with us since day one, we want you there. This is just a good thing. We're a group that supports a particular group of people, but we also support each other. And so it's important that we have events like this. It's important that we get together and sort of share our experiences and celebrate them. Dina, do you want to add to that, or anybody?
Yeah, we just found out about the availability of the place yesterday or day before. But we need to start working, fast on this to get organized, create an RSVP and a sign up that, yes, everybody's invited, but places will be limited. I think the room takes up to 150 people. So anyway, so a lot of organization needs to get into it. I will reach out to a few people, on the coordinating team to help out, but we are open for volunteers. So maybe the email that I will send out with more details will see if you're coming and you'd like to volunteer to do something. So that would be very, very helpful. So anyway, look for that email to come out hopefully before the end of the week or during the weekend. And please respond right away so we get numbers down and all of that good stuff. And Ramadan is a month long. For those who don't know what this month is, it's a lunar month. It's a month long, and the fasting for adults happen from sunrise to sunset. And children as young as 7 are encouraged to start trying to fast some part of the day, or maybe not drink, but eat, and so on and so forth. I did promise some of the family liaisons that I was going to email that I typically send out to schools to explain what that is. I haven't done that, so also expect the family liaisons expect an email from me. That's all I have to say about Ramadan and Iftar. you have any questions, please feel free to email me about that.
Dina, can we put your email in the chat for everyone? Just as you're on a
right
phone,
now.
so we can type it in if you'd rather.
Yeah, that'll be easier. Yes, please go ahead, put my email in there.
Will do.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right, well, thank you, Dina, and everybody. And again, I can't emphasize enough, everybody's invited. We encourage you to come. You can bring families and significant others. There'll be kids there. It would help if we had an idea how many are coming. But please do consider coming. Want to take a moment, especially since there's several new people here in this group, to just sort of introduce the BRP Coordinating Committee. This is a group that meets every week. It includes people like Jen and Dale who work really hard to organize all the volunteers and others who contribute in big ways to help get things organized. Of course, all of you who do day-to-day work and meet the families, right? Your support is incredible. We just try and support all of you. So the group includes myself, Ann Abbott, Fran Boussard, who's on, Dina, her husband, Khaled, who's with us, Vicki Lewis, Pam Phillips, Jen Pike, Dale Pike, and Ellen Pilonen. You can reach all of us at once by emailing to coordinating@blacksburgrefugeepartnership.org, or you can email any individual as appropriate. We are always here to help. As I said a second ago, we're an organization that supports a particular group of people, former refugees. We're also a group that supports each other. There's nothing you should ever do where you feel alone in doing it. There's nothing you should be doing where you can't come ask for help. If you have boundaries that you need to set, please, right, let us know and we'll work through them. If the time commitment is being too much, if there's anything going on that you just need to talk to somebody or ask for help, or you need to learn more about the larger organization, right, how it works, don't hesitate to email us and ask a question, or email any one of us, whatever you think is appropriate. We are here to help and here to support you. At any time, you can let us know. And before I move on, I'll just ask, are there any questions about this group and what we're doing, and any comments about how we could better help you?
Scott, we've got a comment from Fernanda and Tegan about needing some more help in the healthcare team.
All right, so that's a request for more volunteers or more support from the coordinating committee, more volunteers?
Oh.
Hi, it's Fernanda here. Oh, sorry. Were you gonna say something, Jen?
No,
No,
ahead.
I was gonna try and ask you to clarify.
Yeah, we need more help for two families. They have a lot of health issues, so finding maybe 2 more healthcare liaisons would be super, super helpful for us.
Awesome.
Okay. All right.
Who would be the best person to coordinate that with?
Dale and I. Well,
Okay.
Fernanda, hold on. There'll be a slide coming up, and I think
Okay.
it'll give you some contact information and stuff, and we'll talk.
But the short
Thank
answer
you.
is you can work with us, and we'll help you identify someone to help out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott, are we going to get a copy of this slideshow? Because I know there is a coordinating committee, but I'm not sure I have this actual list of people on it with emails anywhere.
You probably can't, because as far as I know, it exists nowhere else. This and Dale's email distribution list he made. I'm happy to email this to anybody, or I can just email it to the entire volunteers list.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to see, I'd like, I knew there's a coordinating committee. I just wasn't sure who was on it, and it's nice to see the list with emails.
And Scott,
All right.
we can share the slides afterwards with everyone, right?
Yes, there's nothing on here that can't be shared.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Maybe on the website, could we have like a file or something that is for the meetings, and then you just put the slides there so we don't have them emailed? I don't know how big this is.
No, yeah. We can. Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
idea. We can reach
Just
out to them.
Okay.
I agree. Let's do
Thanks.
that.
Thanks,
We can
Susan.
figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah.
Sure. Connie asked a question in the chat, and maybe Fernanda, you want to address this. What's involved with being a healthcare coordinator?
So
Is Fernanda still, I mean, Dale and I can talk about it a little bit, but
You guys can do it.
so you would be working, you would be assigned to a particular family, and the families that Fernanda's talking about already have somebody, so you would be sharing the load. But you would be dealing with things like helping to set up medical appointments, dental appointments, probably at the beginning, getting them there because there needs to be a relationship kind of set up. But it would be keeping on top of appointments and health issues. It's a role that requires discretion, but so it's navigating the health system, the US health system, and also, you know, whatever the health and dental needs are of the family.
And we have relationships with community health providers that that the healthcare mentor would become familiar with. And it's all about sort of helping to develop relationships. So finding a dentist that works for the family and working with that office, and then to get appointments, and then helping to coordinate transportation and everything. I think partly what they're looking for is to start differentiating, like a dental liaison, for example. If a particular family needs a whole lot of dental work, then working carefully with the dentist's office and helping to come up with a treatment plan, and then helping the families to stay on track in terms of making their appointments and things like that.
And Connie, if you want to talk some more about it, you know, later, we'd be happy to talk to you and reach out individually, or anybody else.
And a point to emphasize with that, exactly as being said here, sometimes for some of the families, it's a bigger job than it is with others. There's a medical condition or some past history. You know, if it needs to be more than one person, we can get 2 people. We ask for more volunteers.
Yeah.
Nobody should ever feel like they have to be in a position where they're overwhelmed or has all this weight on their shoulders, right? We want to help each other. Any other questions or comments? All right. I want to stick with that theme of mutual support among the organization for a little longer, and just ask you to step back, especially the people who've been with us the last few months. It has been a phenomenal few months. 6 new families that they're set up in their homes, 6 adults in intensive is an understatement, intensive English course, 20 hours a week, FaceTime with teachers and a ton of homework. They're working hard. The families all have bank accounts. They're paying their own bills. They're doing their own shopping. 7 kids in schools, work authorization cards, social security numbers that took a lot of more work on BRP organizers' shoulders than we ever expected. All kinds of medical and dental appointments being made and carried out. 6 people now are working in dining services, and they're getting great reviews from the supervisors. These are all Virginia Tech, and it just seems to be going very well. Families all had a celebration together, which is great. You know, we're happy they're doing that. Seeing some bonding on their part is great, and bonding with us is also great. I just want to hope you all are very proud of what you've done. This has been an incredible amount of work in a short time, and the impact on these families' lives is incredible and very positive. And I just want to acknowledge all the hard work, very hard work in such a short time, and thank you all for it. I do want to clarify too, there has been some bumps in the road. I'm not going to get into specific events. You all know that the new families are under a great deal of stress, mostly due to their families at home, but also concern for their future and things like that. It's very difficult what they're going through. And we need to acknowledge that some of those stresses spill out onto our volunteers. As much as we hope that doesn't happen, it does at some level. We have to deal with some of the issues. You know, it's been a tough road. So first, I want to thank you all for dealing with it. I also want to say that among the coordination committee, This is something we're focusing on a lot. We get it. We're trying to add more volunteers as necessary. And we're trying to do a better job on our new family orientation, our liaison training. We're coming up with new liaison training sessions. And I would encourage everybody to join those. They get better with time. And now we have new people on board. Fran, I would invite you to speak up if you want to. We're just working hard to do a better job of this to help prepare people for what we're all going through as we work with these families and as we learn more about what their situations and how those stresses spill out to the larger group. It is a tough job, all of you are doing. It's a very tough job. And we are grateful for that, but we also want to be supportive in every way we can. So we're going to work harder at our orientation and training. We invite any contributions to that anybody wants to make. And we invite your participation, even if you've been at it for a while. This is a way you can learn the different ways we're trying to do better at supporting the whole group. I welcome anybody on the committee or anybody on the Zoom call at all to add to that or improve on it.
That's great. I think you pretty much covered it, Scott.
Okay. All right, thank you. And
Scott, we just had an additional kudo in Fernandez sharing that all families have been successfully enrolled in Medicaid too. So another win
Wow.
to celebrate.
a huge win, and it didn't come easy either. So really, there's so much to be proud of. And I hope you know we all are proud and grateful for all you've done. The families are grateful for all you've done. I know that for a fact too. And I just want to send a message that we just want to send a message that you've done a great job, and please know we're here for you because we know it wasn't easy, and we want to make sure you have the support you need, whatever that support is. If there's nothing else, I'll go on. Okay. All right. So we have two more families yet to come. These are both among the women who were formerly in the Afghan military and are sort of supported financially by the Secular Society. One is Soraya Nazari. She's actually the sister of Suhaila, who many of you know. So Suhaila is here living alone. Soraya will come with a newborn baby just born in January. Her name is Victoria. And very interesting to know, Victoria is named after a colleague of Soraya that we work with that helped introduce us to Soraya and some of the other military women, a group that's called the Sisters of Service. They've been a partner to us, and I think a great partner. And it's really cool to see that she gets that group gets acknowledged in this way. She's in she's being held at a camp like all the women were for a period. She's in Dubai, and for whatever reason, it's taken a lot longer to get her out of there than it took the other families. Probably, or hopefully that was because she was pregnant and had the baby while there in January, and they've just been moving slower, thinking the baby needed to get a little older before they traveled. I'm really not sure. There have been some activities that suggest she might, be leaving there pretty soon, but really, you never know. One day the military just decides it's time to go, and then it happens. So it wouldn't surprise me if she shows up this weekend. It wouldn't surprise me if it's 3 weeks from now, but it's coming up soon. I will point out she has a couple other siblings, except for one. They're all adult male. They probably will stay in Blacksburg for a couple of weeks to reunite their family, and then they're probably going to go do their own. Our support is for Soraya, her husband and baby as well, but primarily for Soraya. A second family you probably saw, and I say family, it's really an individual today. Her name is Korma Shah. We referred to her in an email asking for help recently, and the response was awesome. So we're grateful to all of you who responded to that email and agreed to help her. I'm not going to get into the details of her background. Her background is a bit different from some of the other women. She has some challenges. I would say more challenges than the others. And that's why we wanted to make sure we had a special and appropriate team for her. That's not fully formed, but it's partially formed, and it looks pretty good for her. In addition to her different background, she's also pregnant, alone. The father's not involved. We've talked to her at length about the situation, but she's alone, she's pregnant, she has some extra challenges, but she'll be joining us at some date to be determined. we want to have the team fully formed. She's in a position now in the US. She's not in a military base, so she's stable, but I would say not progressing. And so as soon as we have the team ready to welcome her, then we'll do it. Jen or anybody, do you want to add to that or correct it?
No, that's good. And it'll take at least about 6 weeks. That'll be the shortest time
Yeah.
period to get everything pulled together. But yeah, we're working hard to get a team ready and then to get training done. And it's we've got it partially formed already, so it's good.
Yeah, it looked real good. And I have to say, you know, this process is pretty incredible. As we put the teams together and we start talking to people on WhatsApp and starting to meet Soraya and Korma, I just enjoy the heck out of that. Watching the messages go through and all the positivity and all the people sharing their experiences and where they live and how pretty it is and what they're looking forward to. It's part of what makes BRP special. It's such a wonderful thing to see. And I'm really grateful to all of you who are participating in that. And if you're not participating in that and you want to, you only have to say the word and we'll put you on the WhatsApp. Any questions about these two?
Are they Persian speakers, Scott?
Yeah, they're all from Afghanistan. So should all have the same language capabilities as the families here so far. I'm not sure where Soraya is on her English. She may be a little more advanced than some of them, but I don't know that for sure. Korma is probably at least as good as Farnaz. She can hold a conversation in English. After a little while, or if it gets deep enough, she'll start to struggle a little bit. But she was fairly easy to talk to. Do you agree, Jen?
Yeah. And again, it occurs to me, I haven't spoken to Sreya at all, so I don't really know. I mean, other than what she types, that's all I know about her English, so.
Yep.
Is Korma planning to birth prior to coming to the Blacksburg area or before?
I believe,
Or after she gets here?
I believe it will be after. My understanding is that she's due the very end of the year, so. So, I mean, we don't know for sure, but we're anticipating that we'll get a team formed, and then we start things like the leasing process, and so we're anticipating that she will be here. I guess we're hoping, what, Scott, like late spring, maybe early summer. So my understanding is that we're expecting that she will give birth here.
Yes. A minor detail, I did see the message where we were told she's due in December, but my math tells me that can't be right.
My math tells me the same thing. So,
yeah. So I think September, October is more likely.
Scott, do you think though, are we looking for housing in Fieldstone or near where the others are?
Yes.
Okay.
Really, we have little in the way of options other than that with the Blacksburg housing market. And, you know, I'm glad you raised that because Fieldstone has been really good to us. We've just gotten the best deal they can offer. They've been very cooperative. And, you know, that's partially supported by the town. And they've started talking to us about ways they could do better and, you know, how it could be different in the future. But working with Fieldstone has brought the town involved in us in a more formal way. And they just seem very eager to help us. It's really good. I feel like it's worked out well. I know, you know, with Fieldstone, it's not all positives, but really it's been really good for us, I think. Summer plans. So many of you who've been around know that in the early or the first few summers, we would have a sort of summer school for the kids. It's somewhat important. One, it helps the families who are working have childcare, but also these kids, they come here and they get put into the school system having zero English. So they have to learn English in a very short time in order to be functional in the school. I mean, imagine that, learning a new language over a course of weeks. It's just unbelievable what they do. But then summer comes and they're back with just their families and they're speaking their own language. They're not using their English. And so they have somewhat of a setback. And so as much as possible, it helps them if we're keeping them busy. Hopefully it's with activities as educational as possible, but keeping them speaking English so they don't lose everything they worked so hard to get. I see that comment from you, Janice. So the YMCA has agreed to host our kids for the summer as sort of a educational childcare activity. It can only be, because there are rules, something like 4 or 5 hours per day. It couldn't go longer than that, but that's similar to what our summer schools before did. Hopefully we could schedule it to overlap anybody who's at LCI, but we can figure that out. They would provide one professional childcare provider, somebody who's paid. That's their rule. There has to be a paid professional there, and they would provide that person. And they would hope that we provide probably a couple volunteers to assist that person. In addition to any kids we provide, there'll be a few more from around the town. The total will be 16 kids probably. And so one person take care of 16 kids is a tough job. 3 sounds better for that. So we're going to be looking for volunteers to help with this. It's not like we'd be asking for 2 volunteers to work 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. Hopefully we can get 10 people to do a little bit of that and share the load. It can be fun if you're doing it in small increments. It can be great fun. These kids are a joy to play with.
Will those be all refugee kids, or will there be some Native American, some American kids?
Well, I mean, if it'll be 16 people is the max they can hold.
Right.
I don't think we have 16 to go. It's something more like 8. And so the rest will be from around town.
Oh, okay, good.
Not people with us. So it's not just for us.
Right. I got you. Yeah, I wasn't sure of that.
Mm-hmm. So, but before we get into the specifics of who needs to go and who probably won't go, Dina, do you want to add to this plan? And I want to thank you, right? This is twice in the meeting we talked about good things the YMCA is doing for us, and it was you who facilitated all that.
Yeah, they really want to help. I work with the YMCA, so I've been really advocating for our group and expanding services and things that BRP cannot offer that other organizations like the YMCA can. So they will offer this space for the iftar, and they will also put together a summer program for our kids for a month and a half, 6 weeks. And I'm still gonna have a meeting with them to figure out all the details, but it would be very helpful if we have a coordinator, a summer program coordinator from BRP, who will take on that, so I don't have to, and also maybe a couple of like daily volunteers, plus transportation. So BRP is gonna put a lot in it, but having the space and a professional person with a plan, that's something that we really need. And I will be talking with them. I think they're still trying to figure out the finances of it. So if they hire one person and have 16 kids, 8 of them for free, and the other 8 they are paying for the program, that might help the YMCA and also make it something more interesting for our kids, so they're meeting other kids as well. So so I'm going to be meeting with the director and 2 other people from the Y, I think tomorrow, to talk more about this and how to make it really happen. So I don't know if there's anything else I should add, Scott, that I'm forgetting.
Will the gathering place be the thrift shop?
Yes, they have an event room that they will have ready for that. And the thinking is that the kids start from 8 till 1 with a snack and a lunch break in the middle. That's how we were kind of envisioning the day would go by. And not sure if there's anything else I should. There isn't really much that beyond that. I think all the information is on the screen. And we'll update you.
Yeah,
And I think, Jen, you have a person who's interested in kind of leading the logistics of the coordination.
But-
That's great.
But if anybody else that is potentially interested in stuff, let's
Yes.
talk. Yeah.
And I think we'll need more like, we don't expect 2 people to be volunteering on a daily basis
Right.
for 6 weeks. So we're gonna have some kind of a sign up
Right.
to help facilitate that and, make it happen. So more to come.
This is something we'll be planning for until it comes. One tricky part, in addition to everything we said, is we do have to provide the transportation. That's going to be interesting. In the past, we borrowed a van from a church, in the morning and then again in the afternoon. And one person just sort of like a school bus went and picked everybody up, took them to the classes and then brought them back in the afternoon. I hope we can pull that off again, but we're starting from scratch. We have to see if we can borrow that van and see if we can find one or more people to drive it. But that'll be part of the planning as well.
Scott, I'll ask Ben Burkert, who's our transportation coordinator, to liaison with several people here. And I think I'm pretty confident we can find something to make that work.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. For the list of who's going, this was just Dina and I making estimates. Sama has her 4 kids, Fawad, Aisha, Sidra, and then the 3 from the Alamawis, Muhammad, Ella, and Allah. We're not requiring this. This was just our estimate. And so I saw Janice, some of Salma's kids have a different plan.
You're muted, Janice.
Okay. I'm still working with Gilbert Linkus to get the kids in summer school, the 3. I think that's more of a priority because of they need a lot more support with education than just, I think the Y is going to be great if it doesn't come through.
That's fine. You
But I'm
shouldn't.
not gonna know, I'm still working, so it might be a couple weeks till I know for sure.
Okay. Well, thank you for pushing that, and no worries at all. Right. We're happy that they might get that possibility.
Thank you.
But all the liaisons, if you could think about, the kids and the families you're working with and who might want to take advantage of this. This was just our guess. There's nobody who's unwelcome. Everybody who could benefit from this can come. I think the upper age is something like 12 is what we talked about. Do you agree, Dina?
We mentioned 13 because I think 2 of the kids, one is 12 and one is 13. And we thought that was the
Yes, that's right.
cutoff age or something like that.
What's the youngest age, Dina?
I think we were thinking 7, like if they're in first grade or something like that, that it would be easy. They're independent, they don't need that much help, something like that. And probably will break, into 2 groups or, 2 activities, maybe in the same, in the same space, but maybe the 2 older kids or 3. I guess it depends on how the instructor feels, would be, to the side doing something and the other younger ones doing something, and then they come together in some common activities. So we haven't really discussed in detail what the program exactly will be like. I think that's part of the tomorrow's meeting with me and the Y people. They did have a summer camp one time with like around the world, and it was like a cultural themed summer program. So I think they're going to look at that and maybe replicate that or use elements from it. So, and we did mention the importance of having the kids like speak in English and maintain a certain level of English proficiency that they acquired during the year. So it's not just, playing, but it's not going to be academic, like, a classroom type, but they need to be aware that this is one of the big reasons why we want them involved and engaged in something like that. So they keep their English during the summer.
All right. Thank you, Dina. Anything else? All right, cool. Dale and Jen, I'm gonna let you take this one about other volunteer needs we have.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Just just during this meeting, just wanted to throw out some needs that we have currently or upcoming. Some of them are going to be pretty urgent. Liaisons, it's going to become urgent. But also we have other roles to fill that would be really helpful. So this is a list. I mean, I know you're trying to look at it quickly and you won't get everything, but we'll share the slides and everything, and that will give you more time to look at it. And we can also share some job descriptions kind of what we're thinking it looks like to help you consider more if it's something you'd like to do. Also want to say that if you want to volunteer in a way that isn't listed, this isn't like the whole list. So if there's something that isn't on here that you want to do, reach out and let us know. We'll try and find a place. If you have a made up job that you think sounds really cool, we'd like to consider it. So, it doesn't have to be what you're seeing on the screen in front of you.
Just to walk through quickly, the liaison, we've talked a little bit about that role, and these are the sort of the linchpin role and on the family team, and takes a little more time commitment. But for those who are in a position to help, we like to, it's working really well to set up new liaisons as co-liaisons so that people aren't in the deep end all by themselves. And then we have a liaison support team that's behind all of this. But the grant writer position is a new position that we're looking for. There are a number of opportunities that we're aware of, and I'm sure a lot more opportunities that we're not aware of to provide some funding for the BRP and these families. And so I'm looking to have someone who could take some focused time and do some research and then work through the process of applying for grants and helping us on the financial front. And similarly, a fundraising coordinator. This could take any number of different forms. We're looking for someone who has some ideas and is willing to engage on that front. Household goods and furniture coordinator. This is a job that has a low level commitment over time, but when we have new families coming in, it's a pretty intensive commitment because it's just about helping to coordinate all the moves. And you wouldn't be alone in this role. We have a number of people who are going to continue to help here, but as we get new families, particularly helping to coordinate the donations necessary to get their house ready when they're arriving is what we're looking for here. So as on a simpler side, the in-kind gift acknowledgement coordinator, this is helping to write thank you notes and acknowledging gifts that are and contributions of different kinds. And then the last two here are rather new, looking for some help with volunteer data coordination. This would ideally be someone who is familiar with spreadsheets and has a little bit of techno savvy, although we're more than willing to help with training and helping to get people up to speed. But we have a lot of checklists in getting volunteers involved on the front end. And this would be helping to make sure that we've got people with all of their qualifications taken care of and completely ready to help jump in when there are opportunities to volunteer. And then the last one is a new role that we're considering in terms of helping to facilitate communication, even helping to conduct this kind of meeting and some regular emails that go out to everyone. The content would come from various sources. The coordinating committee or various areas of coordination would all provide updates, but this person would work with our web person and make sure that our messaging to all of the volunteers is up to date and that we've got news going out on a regular basis so everyone stays informed. So with any of these, if you're interested, you can contact us at volunteering@blacksburgrefugeepartnership.org or Dale and Jennifer, our names are in earlier slides and our email addresses are there as well. Looks like Brett's, looks like we
Okay.
got some possibilities on grant writing.
Dale and Jen, I've got a suggestion about grant writing. I used to teach professional writing at Virginia Tech, and every semester groups of students would be given major projects to do. It's, finding grants that are available and then writing up grants is something that a class like that might do. Like, it only works in the real world maybe 1 out of 5 times, but when it does, it can work really well.
Yeah.
So we might think about approaching some of the folks in professional writing at Virginia Tech to see if anybody wants to do that as a possible project in one of their classes.
Yeah, Pam is responding to you in the chat, Ed. She says, we have some students finding grants for us now. She says, we'd
good.
love to get someone to follow up on their leads.
So that's,
Gotcha.
yeah. So the great idea. And I think we'll continue to try and mine that resource and really looking for someone who can take some of those ideas that they come up with and run with them as well.
And there's a grant opportunity coming up in June that could be very impactful for us. It could be a huge help. And so if somebody were ready for it, we have the job.
And I'm working on one in April too, so. Well, maybe that's not a grant. Anyway, never mind. Money. It's all money, right?
Yes, if it contributes to us, right? We can call it whatever we want. Thank you for that summary of all these jobs. Does anybody have any questions or?
And even if you're not interested in these jobs, if you know somebody that you think would be good, or would just, we'll evangelize here.
Any ideas, please don't hesitate.
Okay. When I send the slides out, I'll try and add the email address Dale gave. I should have done that. I should have put it on the slide, but I'll do that.
No worries, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let me know if you want to come back to anything. This is more of an announcement. Some of you who've been around for a while know that we had well, actually, let me give you some background on Blacksburg Refugee Partnership and driving lessons. Our approach oh, thank you, Dale. I didn't think of that. Our approach to helping with cars, to be honest, is to try to not be involved. Car insurance, helping families buy cars, advising whether this used car is something you should buy. That is something that, can easily go wrong, and for us has gone wrong in the past. So we generally tell our families that this is something that we really can't help with. But there is one exception. We have helped families in the past learn how to drive. We have a volunteer who's been with us in the past, and he doesn't have to be the only one. But Richard McClanahan is a very meticulous, he's a police officer, very careful teacher, and he goes through the whole process, how you get the learner's permit, what the rules are. He helps with the written test, and then all the driving learning. He's got a good system for it. He's patient, and he has some experience with the cultures some of our families come from. He's just done a really good job. His wife helps him, and so they have a plan. So maybe there'll be other volunteers, but probably these two will be our leads for driving lessons. I know we have several who want to get started now, so it'll be sort of up to us to prioritize. He probably can't do any more than 1 or 2 at one time, and it takes a few months to get one person through the process. I'm going to throw it out there that I think the priority should be Faizi, because he needs it as well as anybody, but his support is less than in terms of how long it's going to last compared to some of the other families who are going to get financial support for much longer. I think we should prioritize him. And Ed,
Richard gave Faizi his first driving lesson last Saturday.
I didn't know that. That is awesome.
Yes. And Richard is fantastic. He sent me a detailed list of all the things he worked on with Faizi the next day, handwritten, beautifully handwritten. And I think he's actually a state trooper, and really knows his stuff. He's very, very nice and interested in working with him. He was willing to work with one or two other people at the same time, but the scheduling wasn't available. If I can mention something, I'm having a terrible time right now getting Faisy his driver's license. He failed the written test 3 times because his English wasn't good enough, and the Dari didn't translate well for him. I will tell everybody who's listening now, if you have somebody looking for a driver's license, work hard with them. Don't let them jump in and take the tests too soon. I let Faisy do that, and I should not have. I should have helped him more before he took the lessons. And now he has to find an online course and do all that before he can take the written test again. If you have some questions about getting somebody a driver's license, talk to me. I've now been through the wars and know what to avoid and how to do it a little bit better. Richard's fantastic though. And it's, Faisy already knows how to drive, but it's really important that he works with Richard to get his American license.
Yeah, that is a good point. I had forgotten. It'll probably move faster for these new families compared to the other ones because they were driving in Afghanistan, a lot of them.
Right.
The first families had no experience with it, so.
But that doesn't mean they're going to pass the written test.
No, that's something
I can
else.
unfortunately say that from my own experience.
Yep. Anyway, this is good. I didn't know he was already working with Faisy, but I think that's awesome. And
Yeah, he's got another lesson in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
He
All right.
would have them more often, except their scheduling is a little tricky.
And Scott, it looks like we've got some other people who've been also looking at helping with driving. And so we'll reach out to some folks and see if we can get everything, get all the people on the same page. So we've got a concerted effort around supporting driving.
All right, sounds good. I appreciate that.
And also, if I could just real fast, just to be conscious of time, we've got about 12 minutes to 6.
Okay. Thankfully, we only have one more topic and it's short.
Okay.
Ed, I think there's a comment from Kim that'll help you on the chat.
In the chat?
Yeah. And thank you for that, Kim.
Yeah, at this point, I think I know about all that stuff, but I should have known about it earlier, but thank you.
Yeah, well,
Scott, can I add something before you move on to the last slide?
sure.
Not related to driving, but related to work. The Walid Al-Amawi, who I help, he texted me yesterday saying he noticed that there might be some new people there who are from Afghanistan. I don't think he was formally introduced to them, but he noticed them around the dining services area. And he said to please let them know to make sure to clock in when they're going into work, because if they make the mistake of clocking out, that will make them lose 4 hours of work. And he's done that mistake before. So he just wanted to share that piece of information. So all the family liaisons here, just make them realize that they could do a mistake where they clock in when they go to work. So just to be careful.
All right, very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, any more we can say on either of those? All right. Last slide is definitely great news. Those of you working with the families know they're all stressed about their legal documentation, their path towards green cards, social security cards, their SIV applications, asylum applications, all of that. Catherine, who's BRP's lawyer, she reached out to a group called McGuire Woods to see if they would provide some pro bono lawyers to help us. She talked with them and explained their situation and the situations the families are facing. The leaders of the law firm went and talked to their people, and 30 of them volunteered to provide pro bono services. So this is awesome. Every one of our families is going to have their own lawyer, possibly even 2, working their cases. A word on the process. Most of them have some legal justification for doing an SIV application, special immigrant visa, which would effectively make them a permanent resident. They would still apply for a permanent resident card, but there'll be no chance of deportation with that. And so they all want that. The US government has waffled as to whether they should pursue that process or apply for asylum. They seem to be leaning towards asylum now, but it's not definitive. So our approach is to apply for both, right? And just see whatever one comes in first. If you're, here's an asylum, right? That means you're not going to be deported. You still have to do the green card, but they're safe. And that's what these families are looking for as soon as possible, is to feel safe. So now, instead of one lawyer taking the families one at a time, and Catherine, by the way, had a baby in the middle of all this in January, so she's really been dedicated. But now we're going to have a small army of lawyers helping these families, and all of you can feel free to go tell your family members that this is true, and they're going to start to get more help. A few of us are meeting with the law team on Friday to start ramping them up, but I would expect, hopefully as soon as next week, individual lawyers will be reaching out to individual families, or at least their teams. Any questions on that?
No, that's just
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Scott, how will we link the families up with the lawyers? Like Ed and I have a family. We're getting pretty anxious and ready for some legal help.
I think, you know, after we meet Friday and talk about how to ramp up, I'll know better how the people at McGuire Woods wants to do that. And if anybody wants to join, right, doesn't have to be just a few of us. But I think they'll give us a list of lawyers, and we'll give a list of contacts with our family teams. So you and Ed would get that. And then you'd be hearing from a lawyer. Like I say, I hope it's next week. They know that our family are in panic mode, worried about this stuff. So they know this is going to ramp up fast.
Just a quick note, Scott. The first question to them would be, what can we do parallel and what would cancel each other? Because now with the Afghans have protected status, which should end by the end of the war whenever this happens. So we need to be careful of what steps for Afghans especially can and cannot do, or what is the best option. I've been meeting with lawyers for other things concerning Afghans, and not everything as glorious when you read the fine prints.
Yes, and it's constantly evolving, and as you say, not always for the positive. Catherine has been working hard at staying on top of that, and I hope through this legal team she's going to get even more help on that. But all of us, if we see some news item or read about something that's relevant, pass it on. It's like the ground is always shifting under our feet with this, and so you have to be really careful. And I should be totally honest, right? These 30 lawyers, they're lawyers, not necessarily immigration lawyers. They're going to have a learning curve too, about some of these rules. Even Catherine, the rules are changing so fast, and immigration law is her specialty. It's, you know, she doesn't just know the answer to every question, she's looking into it. So this is not some easy process. It's going to get done fast, but now we have a large team working at it. And I think that's going to be much better for everybody. Any questions on that? We'll move this along as fast as possible.
Scott, some of us like Ernie and I have been considering, you know, moving forward, filling out paperwork, whatever, shot in the dark kind of stuff we've been doing. We should probably just hold off on that until we have a lawyer who's working with us, so that we don't have too many chefs trying to mess up the soup. Is that right?
That would be my suggestion. And like I say, you should know a whole lot more as early as Monday or something like that. That would be my expectation. This is not going to go a week before you hear anything. We'll move as fast as we can.
Hey, Scott. I think that maybe when we tell the families, we should also caution them that even once the application starts, it takes a while. I know Catherine did one for somebody in my family, and it still took 2.5 months for it to get completely ready to be sent off.
Yes. Yes, I hope it picks up a little now that there might be as many as 2 lawyers per family, but yes, nothing about this is easy.
Right.
And the process, right? Everything could change. Some new rule could come up in the middle of these applications. It's still going to take patience, but I hope they feel better now that they know that there's, you know, an individual lawyer taking care of them, and it's not a serial process with one lawyer for everybody.
Yeah.
But that's a very good point. Any other questions anybody wants to bring up on this topic or any other?
I've got a very small topic. I don't know what everybody else is finding, and I don't know whether I'm the only male liaison. But I don't know what the rules are about, for example, my taking Tamina to the food pantry by myself with just her, how they feel about a non-family male with a woman these days. Does anybody else have any experience with that? I mean, Tamina likes me and she knows me and maybe she'd feel comfortable, but I don't know whether I should offer that or not.
Yeah, Ed, I think this is something we've discussed pretty extensively, and there's not any solid policy or approach that we've determined from a BRP perspective. But the thing that we've continuously come back to is asking the family and seeing what they're comfortable with, because some of them, for some of them, they're very comfortable and familiar and have had different experiences, and for others, they would be very uncomfortable. And so finding a way to inquire, and this is also something that, you know, potentially I think Nagin's on the call, but it could be relying on someone else to ask on your behalf with the family. But I think generally speaking, the guidelines we're suggesting are to ask the family what they're comfortable with, and go from there.
But it's a really good, I mean, I understand. I totally get where your concern comes from. It's an important question.
Yeah, speaking, there's another very small cultural thing that came up, and thanks to Nagin, when I had been visiting the Fizes, I would offer to take my shoes off, and Fize said, "Oh, no, you don't need to do that." Well, it turns out they really would have preferred that I take my shoes off, and Fize was not wanting to inconvenience me, or he wanted to seem more American. I didn't know what it was that was going on. Thank goodness for Nagin talking to them, and found out that I should have been taking my shoes off all the time, even though he was saying, no, you don't have to do that. So little things like that, I need to be told about when I can be.
Yeah. Similarly, everyone who goes to visit has to learn how to say no to more food, and you will only be so successful, even with the strongest of wills. But the number of times you'll be offered meals and food will far surpass.
I can't go to Fize and Tamina after 4 o'clock in the afternoon without coming home with bread and or rice and or some delicious bean supper.
Right.
I do have one more question. Sorry to be asking so many, but I'm having trouble getting, I think Holly was on this call. I don't know whether she still is, but
yes,
I've been having trouble getting babysitters Monday and Wednesday for Tamina. She's reluctant to have somebody stay with her son at the apartment when she's not there. This isn't something that we can hash out here, but just be aware it is a little bit of a problem. She only seems to want babysitters that she already knows well, like me and Deb Call. And she refused to go to English class this morning, and I'm pretty sure it's because she didn't want to leave Collis with a babysitter she didn't know well. That's an issue that's been coming up. Just getting babysitters, number one, and number two, in her case anyway, maybe, I don't know whether this is true with anybody else, maybe with our new people who have young babies. Leaving the baby with somebody is a little bit tricky.
Right.
So there's no way to work this out right here, but
sure.
I am still on the call, and I'm glad that you brought that up, Ed, because getting babysitters has been a challenge over the last couple of weeks. So if anybody is available, we would very much appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So Dale, yeah.
What kind of babysitters?
What's that?
What?
So-
He's a cute little 18-month-old. So you just, and I think it's often at the place where Tamina has English class, so you don't have to go to a house. You're there.
Well, right now we're trying. The problem with the church where she does her English classes, the church requires 2 babysitters. getting one is hard enough. Getting two is almost impossible right now. So we're encouraging her. In fact, we're basically telling her she has to leave Collis at home with a babysitter in order to go to English class now. But that is an issue. And it's an 18-month-old little boy who's cute as can be, but he, every once in a while he'll cry when he realizes his mom's not there. And Tamina just can't stand the idea of him crying when she's not there. So it's been a little bit of a problem.
Yeah.
I think these are good points. And the sum of all you said raised an issue I'd like to say, but the discussion of it, let's say for the training sessions, and I encourage you all to go to them, is the thing about, a man taking one of the family's wives, right, somewhere, you have to ask and make sure they're comfortable.
Right.
With the kids, we've seen cases where they're a little more prone to say, sure, take my kid to go play soccer or do whatever. But it's very easy to cross a line to where something you might do with the kids, they become uncomfortable with, and they're not comfortable telling you they're uncomfortable.
Right.
And this is something, not today, but we should discuss, how to be very careful about that. I love the idea of two babysitters every time, but I know it's very difficult. But here's an area where they're not so comfortable telling us when they're uncomfortable, and it's easy to cause, and we need to approach this very, very carefully. I think this will be a part of our training sessions coming up.
Yes.
And with a couple of new little ones coming in, it's going to be an issue more and more in the next year or so.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I just want to point out, Sally asked a question, which I imagine a number of you are actually thinking about. She says, will we be working with Ukrainians too? Scott, do you want to answer that?
Yes. Boy, thank you, Pam. I know. I'm just going to do this quick. So probably we are. The way we decide about new families is we, one, make sure we have the funds to do it, and we, two, make sure we have the volunteers to do it. So there's no way we would do that without having a meeting like this and talking to people. The reason we didn't talk about that in this meeting is we got to get what we're doing today, right? Get our arms wrapped around that and be doing a good job of that. And there's a ton to be proud of with the work we're doing today, a ton. There's a few things we need to improve on. And that's why we talked about, some training sessions and some orientations. We need to do a little work internally, and then we can start thinking about a next stage with Ukrainians. I have no doubt that we're going to do it. But before we talk about, and I'm always guilty of this, thinking about tomorrow, today, I got to get today right. All of us have to get today right. And then as soon as we have that, we'll talk about tomorrow. But I don't want to act like it's all problems. You are all awesome. BRP is an awesome organization with a lot of awesome people, and we're going to get where we need to be.
Is there a list or a sign up genius for babysitters? Because I have some mornings free that I would be able to watch somebody.
Holly, do you have a second to address how people who are interested in babysitting might be able to help?
I do. I was trying to unmute real quick.
Yeah,
I guess the best thing, Susan, would just be to email me, because I don't have a sign up genius set up right now. We have needs mostly Monday and Wednesday morning. Is that correct, Ed?
That's right.
I can do
those are the two days that Tamina would like to go to the English class at the church, and that's when we need babysitters.
I can show her a picture of my 6'1" son and say I did it once, I can do it again. Right? Hi, Holly.
Well, you joke about that. I think one of the things that would make her more comfortable is if I introduced babysitters to her ahead of time so that she got a chance to meet them. I've just been thinking about that.
Right.
So where you could show pictures of your son or grandchildren if you have them like I do, and so on.
Not yet.
Real quick,
Not yet, thank goodness.
Say goodbye to everybody. I have to take off. I have a family event coming up in a few minutes.
Bye, Scott.
Sorry to interrupt.
Bye, Scott.
I'm grateful for you all, and please come to the iftar next week.
You're doing a great job, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
See you all later.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, if
Thank
you want,
you, everybody.
We can arrange something where you can take me over there, Ed.
Well, let's talk about that, because I think that might work. It might not. If you go over there and Collis, the little boy, has is in a bad mood and thinks you're the Wicked Witch of the West that day, then Tamina will get upset.
Okay.
But you know, if he's happy and smiling, she'll probably be happy with you later on. That's kind of the way it's going right now.
Ed,
Okay.
Connie's
Yes.
asking what hours Tamina's classes are.
On Monday and Wednesday, when she goes to the Baptist Church for English classes, the babysitting would begin around 9:10 in the morning and end around 11:50 when she comes home.
Okay.
And that's Monday and Wednesday. Now, next week, I have an emergency babysitting on Tuesday for her because she has a 9:20 doctor's appointment that she cannot take Collis to at all. And I would normally do that, but I've got my own doctor's appointment that morning, so I can't.
Can I add something about babysitting from
Yes.
past experience? It's always helpful to have the person who is offering to do that, to meet the mother and the child a few times before. So just to establish that trust and familiarity before they go in, and also to go kind of over what the mother likes and what the routine is like, and just get them acquainted over a few days, or a few times, so the mother feels comfortable and the child feels comfortable with that new person.
Yeah, that's very
what-
good advice. I should have thought about that in the past, and I haven't been doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we'll try to work that into the training so that everybody kind of knows that this is what needs to happen. The other thing you mentioned, a doctor's appointment, he cannot go to it. Maybe the child care person can accompany them and can be sitting outside with snacks and toys and a book or something in the waiting room, with her while she's inside with the physician. That's another thought.
Yeah, that sounds good. I don't know whether the community health center, for example, has a place where that can happen or not. But yeah, that's a good point too.
I'm not familiar with the place there, but we had a lot of families go. I think Brenda or Ellen might know, or Jen. I don't know. I'm not sure what setup.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the community health center, but yeah.
I
do
can
find-
personally speak to Carillion, at least, is changing their visitation policies. So kids can at least come to appointments now. So that's nice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good to check ahead with the providers, because if we have a surge again, they usually tell you their color codes. But I think right now it's at the lowest.
Okay.
Yeah. Sally asks, when and where are the training sessions? Sally, we have volunteer orientation training on the website. We can send you that link. The other trainings are not online, and we're still working on a bunch of them. So we'll keep in contact. We'll let you know when they're ready, and we'll tell you.
Really appreciate everyone's time today. We're over time now. So thanks very much for all you do. And if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to follow up, and we'll see you all again very soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye all.
Bye.